Okay, my friends, this is so beyond the shocker du jour supreme deluxe. I don't even know where to start. I have so many people now flooding me with so many things that have been unanswered for so long and crushed and pushed down. And all of a sudden, it's just exploded like a freaking bomb. It's like little raindrops, and then all of a sudden the heavens open up and it is a gusher. All I'm going to do is give you a prelude to what I'm going to be covering in the next week or so. And it just keeps piling up on top of that. So I'm really going to flush this thing through. There's so much we have missed that has to be explained, and I can explain most of it now. And people, again, I'm getting so much stuff. I feel bad. I can't respond to everybody. I just can't. So I'm taking and picking and choosing what I can really wrap my hands around quickly, because there's so much to examine. I don't want to go off track to crazy places. I know I started in a crazy place. Well, what can I say? That's just the way it starts. But I had a guy today, he just posted, he said, I thought you were delusional. And I've had this come fairly regular now. I thought you were the most insane person I ever saw in my life. And now I'm finding out maybe you're not totally insane. And they're starting to come around. Some of them, well, nah, but nobody can deny what I'm saying. I haven't had one single academic stand up to me. Not one. Zero. They will not stand up to me. All right? That's a challenge. If you're an academic, you're an expert, you're a geologist, you're a chemist, you're a biologist, I don't care who you are, cosmologist, something to do with space, stand up to me. I'm going to show you the evidence right now, what I'm going to be covering, and I want somebody to stand up to moi. Okay, I'm going to do this real quick just to set you up so that you know the things that are coming. Stay tuned. Now, we've been talking about Scorpozilla, runs all the way up the west coast. That's Mount St. Helens that they've just drilled into, and I say that is toxin. So I said to myself, if his pincher is way up here, or squirter, or whatever they call all kinds of things, injector, who knows what it is, but it's just exactly like a scorpion has. I call them Scorpozilla, and it's pinned right here, and this is very high. All right, this here is only 1,000 meters deep. You go over here, and it's almost 4,000 meters deep, so it's miles thick, his squirter, and it's pinned right here. And you see this wrinkled area? It retracts into here, so it can inject. All right, so I looked at this extremely carefully, and I thought to myself, how would all of that toxin get way up from Mount St. Helens all the way up to his pincher, or squirter, or whatever you want to call it? So I said, well, maybe he's breathing it out of his mouth up here somewhere. It's coming up this way. And because most dragons, they spit fire, that's what they do. So I said, well, I know Mount Crowley is up here where all the beards are. So I said, there's got to be some chemistry up here. Let me see if I can find it. Now I'm going to show you that chemistry, and then I'm going to show you a panel of things that we will be discussing in the next few episodes. All right, now don't forget, Mount St. Helens, they just drilled into it, and they found it's not a normal volcano. It's nothing like a normal volcano. Plus, they could see the layers of biological tissue as they drilled through it. And it is exuding hydrogen fluoride, something like that. Yeah, hydrogen fluoride, which is snake venom. His fluorides are in snake venom. So I said, well, this thing is injecting it maybe out of his mouth. Here's where it is. Don't forget, there's Scorpy's eye, and down here is Lake Crowley. It has all of those hairs sticking out of it, these big white columns nobody could ever figure out. They're all over the place down here. And I figured, well, that's usually from their beards is where they spit the stuff out. And here it is right here. This is the chemistry. Look at this. When I started to see this chemistry, I freaked out. Look at this. What the hell is this doing there? Look at this. Take your time. Let it sink in. Look at this. Look at this right here. the hell is that all about? Look at this. This is Scorpozilla's chemistry. This is the stuff that he's spitting at somebody, I guess. Look at this. I'd love to know what all this is about. This is pretty serious looking stuff. Somebody's doing something up here. And these are all, and every time you see a different color, it's a different chemistry. So there is a lot of chemistry coming out of here. Not only that, wait till I show you what they have, the pictures that they have taken of the dust areas in the whole world. So now don't forget, this is Scorpozilla. He runs all the way up and he poops right here in a place called Mount Spur. One of the biggest rectums on the earth. Spur, they're going to say, Spur, yeah, I know, it's one of the biggest rectums on earth. Now, this is it right here. Mount Spur comes right out of here. Right in this area. It explodes and it poops right into here. And that is Scorpozilla's anal canal, although it is a reptile. Now, here's what I'm going to show you right here. You see, this is a typhon. And this is all the map of surface minerals. Now, arid region means you're going to have a lot of dust coming off. Look at this. Here's Australia. I always said Australia is nothing more than a scab. It's just a solid piece of blood. All right, so now, here's what we got. There's that one. Here's a little closer look at it. And this identifies the minerals they're seeing. And it's nothing more than blood and skin. I'm not kidding you. It's the three things that are in, it's kaolinites and the two different states of blood. The O2 and O3 version of blood. That's what they're looking at. So that's what they've been mapping, is the biology of the earth. So we saw this one, we saw this one. This is kaolinite. Kaolin clays. This is skin clays. That's little layers of skin clay. And if you look at the skin in a microscope, that is it. Now, so we got that. And these are the kind of things that they, from the past, who the hell knows what all that stuff is, but I'm thinking it's not too far from being true. Now, they went up to Bennu, this meteorite, or asteroid, right there, it's a heart. And that's in space. This is what a heart is. It breaks right off here. I'm going to show, I have shown this in much, much, much detail. And there's the heart muscle that they brought back. This is the heart muscle they brought back from Bennu. It's a heart muscle with 2 layers of membranes and a heart muscle. They went deep inside and grabbed a piece of muscle, pulled it out, and came back with it. This is bizarre, but it's true. What I just showed you here, this is a heart on Earth here where it had a heart attack, but that's the sarcomeres. Identical, no difference. I've shown this many, many, many times. Hearts, identical, no difference. One smelted psyche, got too close to the sun. This is Bennu. It has tubes coming out of it, not impact craters. Some of them might be, but not a whole lot of these. Most of these are exploded outwards because of the moisture inside cooked a little bit. And these are just snapped off tubes running from the heart. This, I'm going to show you some stuff that's just freaky. Everything here is freaky. I showed you about Quetzalcoatl, and we're going to go deep into that because I got a shocker, DuJour supreme, hilarious shocker for you about this. And he's and I've gone through most of this stuff, but I'm just going to have to go through it more and more and try to answer questions, because here's what is. This is Quetzalcoatl. These are his feathers. This is how big his feathers are. He runs all the way up the East Coast. He affects Tornado Alley. This is where, right here, right up his head. Right up his head is Tornado Alley. Okay, this is over the top cool. This is Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Now, I say here he is laying on the East Coast. Now, these are the feathers we'll be looking at in a second, and he is eating giants. He had a feathered headdress, and he snaked all the way up the east coast of the United States, and his feathers we will see in a moment. And I believe the weather patterns on the east coast are a direct result of these rippling actual feathers. I'll show you. Right out of Little Rock is an area where his feathers take right off out of his head. They come right out of Little Rock. You see it right out of there. We're going to go look at this in a second. All right, this is how bizarre this biology is. This is the rectum from, well, it's a cloaca, the vent, they call it, from Scorpozilla. And this is where it's coming into Cook Inlet. Now look at this stuff here. Does that look like your average runoff? Look at this. We're going to look at this carefully in the next stuff coming up. But look at that transition zone. I always say look at the abrupt transitions, then look what flows out of them or flows into them. Look at this. Look at that. That looks like it was constructed. Look at this. All right, we're going to get into this deep because it's too deep to do in one little clip. But this is the rectum from Mount Spur. Mount Spur poops this right out of here. That is poop. And that's a poop and a poop and a poop and a poop and a poop. And this is probably every time it erupts, it's another poop. And when it erupted big time out of here. This is outside of Anchorage. Anchorage, I think they were shoveling the streets in Anchorage after that explosion. And this is all biology. And when you look at it, it is extreme biology. And I mean, whoa. And it's melting. All of the cold regions of the Earth has absorbed too many electrons because we have forced those electrons into the air by burning. Burning and combustion causes excess of electrons, which force the envelope of the Earth to expand. The globe is just literally, the atmosphere is expanding, and it's forcing electrons into the Earth. The Earth is warming up. There's no other way you can do it. If you burn and force electrons into the atmosphere, they're going to be forced down into the Earth. There's no other way. Everything's a dipole. So as this warms up, and these bodies, which they're nothing more than bodies, they're biological bodies, they are going to warm up and they're going to start to rot, and methanes are going to start gushing out, which they are extreme amounts of methanes, which expands it more. And the more things rot, the more methanes. The more they rot, the more you see this stuff, and it's going to be a serious problem. Well, it already is. I don't see any way to remediate it, to be perfectly honest with you. And especially when you say burn, baby, burn, that's wonderful. We get free energy, but destroy the planet? I don't know if that's a good idea. Because it will. It's going to destroy the planet. I don't care who says to burn. That's fine. But it's not the solution. The solution is to recycle the electrons. And the only way you can do that is with my electron flood theory using the Venturi. And that I also show. This, again, all of this stuff has to be seen. You have to be able to accelerate the light and split the light and take the white out of that light and put it into your energy source. Because all you want is the white. You don't want the black. You keep the black away. That's the muon. Stay away. The white comes through. All of this stuff I have to go over bit by bit, because it's so rejected that it won't be allowed to be seen, because they say, oh, you're going to confuse people because you're saying things that nobody else is saying. Well, who cares? If they're true, they're true. And here's all these sources of things around the Earth, and exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see, here it is right here. They mapped hematite, that's red, that's blood. Geotite, that's the other blood. There's red blood and black blood. Hematite, I believe, is the red, and the geotite is the black, and kaolinite is skin. That's skin. Those are the three things they're mapping off of the top of the Earth, all around the Earth. 17 months in orbit doing this and detecting plumes of methane. Why plumes of methane? That's because body parts are rotting. All right, here's a story right here. Very, very simple. Rotting body parts produce methane gas as part of the decomposition process, but they have to be warm enough to decompose. If they're frozen, they do not decompose. So we're talking about methane gas is part of the decomposition where things break down and fall apart, but the temperature is critical. All right, now, the breakdown of organic matter in a decomposing body involves aerobic and anaerobic processes. That's one with oxygen and one without oxygen. Under anaerobic, which is deprived of oxygen, anaerobic means there's really no oxygen can flow around it easily. They're buried, basically. Occur deep within the body, or in this case, the earth, or in environments where oxygen is limited, such as a closed environment in the soil spaces or in soil. The bacteria break down organic material, produce various gases, including methane. And if that methane has no way to escape, you end up with an explosion. If you have extreme amounts of methane, which you do, just like in your guts, in your gut, you get a lot of methane going on, a lot of farts, all these cow farts and stuff all over the place. That's methane. And that's because of the breakdown of organic matter in those confined intestines. And this is what I'm telling you, that's what the earth is. And I've closed the case on that. We got to go beyond that and start thinking about what it means. And this goes down about the initial process and how it creates methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfides, the type of bacteria, the production, the temperature, how critical that is, and the faster, leading to faster decomposition, which means we're going to have volcanoes kicking off. All kinds of different things. So anyway, I think that's enough. I think I covered my cases. Okay, somebody sent me this the other day. Look at this. This is Australia. It's just like literally one big, thick, bloody scab. The whole thing is just saturated with blood, and that's where opals come from. Now, I showed you about Quetzalcoatl. We've seen about the heart in space, which is not all biology. It's here on Earth. There's no question they can see it. I showed you all about the mud fossils. I showed you about Quetzalcoatl and transition metals. Now they're talking about how the dinosaurs died. Well, the dinosaurs were parasites. They were little tiny amoeba-looking little things that these gigantic creatures had no idea they were even there. They were little scraps. They were just nothing compared to the creatures they were on. I mean, look at this. This is Quetzalcoatl's head. It runs up the whole East Coast. The green mountains are his feathers of his tail. So I'm going to go over all these things, and some of the light stuff that we did shows some things in the light that I can't explain. And I know it sounds like pareidolia. Wow, you can see all these crazy things. Well, yes, you can. And Jesus Christ said we come from the light. We are children of the light. We are in the light. The light is us. And this is another one that blew my mind. Well, I'm going to go into this, but this looks like Lincoln to me. If you don't see Lincoln there, I don't know who you do see. And here's the killer. Nobody could explain this, and nobody still can explain it. And there is no way I can think of in the world that he can get his hands over the top of her in some kind of a fake back when this was done in 1860 or somewhere around there. And that appears it might also be her 11-year-old son that died. She was, anyway, I'm going to go over all this stuff. There's so much to talk about. I don't want to get wrapped up in one thing right now. But these things, this is not a joke. This is not a joke, my friends. Not even close to a joke. All right, so we need to start taking another look, and we have to start understanding the chemistry. We got to understand the chemistry of what we see here. This is Australia again. Australia is just nothing but biology and a big, gigantic, bloody scab. All of that is secretions of something. I don't know what kind of a creature it was, but when you see all these different colors, those are different transition metal complexes, which means they have different chemistry. And these are the transition metal colors. And that's why you see opals being so spectacularly colored. They come out of out of Australia, because Australia is just nothing but blood. This is nothing but blood. Those are blood colors. Okay, so we're going to be getting into all of this. We're going to be looking into the details and the abrupt transitions of Scorpozilla and where his actual body is and all of the biology of that. You got to look for the abrupt transitions. This area here, that didn't just stop there for no reason. And look at what it looks like. Very strange looking stuff. Look at that. That's the abrupt transition of the edge of his body. You see, this is totally different than this here. So he's a big guy. All of this stuff apparently is related to him. I don't know if this is down here, but I think it must be. And his body is huge. It goes all the way out to here and over to here. I don't know where. But this is, you know, again, I got to go through all this stuff, and I mean, there is a ton of stuff to go over. So it's one of those things, right? I don't even know where I'm going to start, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, I've done most of them a number of times, but a lot of people haven't been with me. This is Australia again. I'm telling you, this is some guy's fingerprint or something like that. If you look at it in a microscope, you can see it's exactly what it should be for a finger ridge or a footprint ridge or whatever. And this is in the outback somewhere in Australia. So anyway, we're going to get started in the next video. Stick around, stay tuned, sign up, share, get around with a whole bunch of people, sit around, watch these together. And discuss it as you watch it. That's the beauty of this. You can even do it online with Zoom, or I don't know how you do things now with all this stuff. But you get together and discuss it as you see it. I try to do the premieres, but I don't know if I'm going to do those anymore. Well, we'll see how that works out. Usually it turns out people just want to discuss other things. But anyway, this is all real. This is not silly. These are the green mountains, because they are feathers. All right, I love you all. We're going to go through top to bottom. And it all relates, to my point right now. I'm way past knowing about the Earth being bodies of creatures. And the Earth, not only the Earth, but space is saturated with them too. Battles in the heavens. They say, well, how did they get there? They talked about battles in the heavens. That's a heart in space. And it's big. That's not small. Comet 67P is absolutely enormous, and it's a hip joint. And they came back with the muscle from this heart. And there's the muscle right there, and there it is. There is no doubt whatsoever. It's here on Earth. They could test it right today. They should have tested it a year ago when it came back. And they refused to discuss with me. I've tried to contact all the people involved. Well, when I say all the people involved, I don't know if they ever even got my message. Not a single one of them's ever responded. So we need somebody that's responsive. That's all. We're not getting that. The academia will not respond because they're afraid to lose their position of authority. And they can still have the authority. I don't care if they have authority or not. They just have to open it up. Let's discuss it. Geez, maybe we weren't exactly right about this. Maybe they can be blood preserved in these mud fossils, like Roger says. Let's take a look at it. That's all. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. All right, I love you all. We shall talk. Stay tuned.